To follow this next Capra Tutorials vulnerability definition video, Tsunami Vulnerability, you will need the Capra Vulnerability module. To start the exercise, 2 vulnerability functions will be added to the current functions library from the vulnerability functions database included in the module. To do this, click Open and then Search in Database. In the hazard type selection list, you should check that the hazard of interest is currently selected. If it is not, select the corresponding hazard and click Search. This list will be updated immediately with the vulnerability functions included in the database for the selected hazard. Now select the corresponding functions by clicking Add. When this is done, the selected functions will be included in the current functions library. The current functions library can be checked with the tools displayed in the Functions Browser drop-down menu. Another way to create a new vulnerability function in the Capra Vulnerability module is by clicking New, then Function, and then inputting the information Author, Function Name, and Description of the new vulnerability function. It should be borne in mind that the hazard type cannot be changed because each functions library is for a single hazard, defined when the first functions were added to the library. If Accept is clicked, the vulnerability function will be added to the current library and it will be available in the Functions Browser. Continuing with the tutorial exercise, an additional function must be added in accordance with the reference documentation. The above steps must be repeated with the new information. In addition to the created functions and those imported from the database, functions can be added to the current library from files on the hard drive. To do this, click Open, then Search File in Local System, and then select the desired function file to be added to the library. Parameter values for the current function are shown in the Modify Function drop-down menu. The last procedure must be repeated until all functions listed in the reference material have been included. To modify a vulnerability function, it must be located in the Functions Browser drop-down menu. Click on the graph or on Edit to load that function as the current function. This last step displays the function in the main window and loads the parameters values and additional function information into the Metadata and Modify Function drop-down menus. Once the desired function has been selected, necessary changes to parameters can be made. In this window, necessary changes to parameters of one-story wooden buildings will be made. The method should be selected as flood, number of points that define the function as 30, intensity type as water depth, maximum intensity value as 5, intensity unit as meters, number of stories as 1, inter-story height as 2.8 meters, and damage variation coefficient as 3. Changes made to parameters are updated promptly in the main window, making it possible to run a parameter sensitivity analysis. Finally, parameter values must be checked. By clicking Update Function, the changes to the current function will be saved. In continuing to fully define the vulnerability function, a default human vulnerability function should be defined. The following step makes changes to two-story wooden buildings. To do this, in the Functions browser drop-down menu, the function should be selected as the current function. The method should be selected as flood. The number of points that define the function as 30, maximum intensity value as 3, intensity type as water depth, intensity units as meters, the story number changed to 2, interstory height as 2.8 meters, and the damage variation coefficient as 4.3. Changes made to parameters are updated promptly in the main window, making it possible to run a parameter sensitivity analysis. Finally, parameters values should be checked. If Update function and Save are clicked, changes to current function will be saved. In continuing to fully define the vulnerability function, a default human vulnerability function should be defined. To save a function in a file, select the desired function as the current function from the Functions browser drop-down menu by clicking Save and then Function to Hard Drive. A Save File dialog box is displayed where the path can be selected and the vulnerability function file name entered. The Capra Vulnerability module makes it possible to save all vulnerability functions included in the current library. To do this, click Save and then Library to Hard Drive. This will display a Save File dialog box where the path can be selected and the vulnerability library file name entered. The module will check if vulnerability files exist at the path selected and will ask for confirmation to save them if required. This concludes the tutorial. Thank you.